Hi, welcome to another day of school. Today marks our 72nd days left of our school year. That's all the days we have left. Can you believe that? So let's have some fun with this number. So step into my office over here and let's go and let's first of all erase yesterday's and now let's work on today's. So I'm going to propose a question. I would like you to press pause and I want you to try to solve it. And then press play and see how close you came to, first of all, getting the correct answer and seeing if you did it the same or a different way. Because it's perfectly okay if you did it a different way than the way that I did it. So we know that we have 72 days left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question using percents, saying 72 days is what percent of a whole year? So I will just write down the pertinent information. We have 72 days. And what percent is 72 out of? So you should know the word out of means a fraction out of a whole year. So what number do you think is going to go on the bottom? I'm not even going to put it there. You put what you think, and I'm just going to write a whole year. Now, what percent of 72 days is it of a whole year? So press pause, go ahead, have some fun with it, go until you get stuck or finish it the whole way through, and then unpress pause and let's see how we do it. Okay, go. All right, hopefully you were able to go the whole way, or even if not, if you came to a place where you were stuck on, good, because now you'll learn how to get unstuck. So I said the whole year, not the whole school year, but the whole year. And a whole year is 365 days. Actually, it's 365 and a quarter days. That's why we have a leap year every 4 years. But we're just going to say 365. All right, and so the part that we are figuring out is what percent is 72 out of 365. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to see if I can simplify this fraction. Can I simplify it? This is even. This is divisible by 5. No, there's not going to be a common factor, which is okay. So what's my second step? This is a step that a lot of kids forget. Before you even try a fraction or a problem involving fractions, I want you to come up with an estimation. And all fractions can be estimated to almost nothing, almost a half, or almost a whole. Well, I know half of 365 is 182, something like that. Is 72 closer to 182, or is it closer to 0? Well, if I double this, it's 144, so I would say it is closer to 0. But it is kind of close. It's in between almost nothing and almost a half. It's actually closer to almost nothing. But I can see where you would say, well, it's kind of in the middle. But that's for your own brain to understand. When I get my solution, if I get something that's almost 0, I know I'm going to be off, because when I did this, I realized it's somewhere in between, a little bit to the less of half, right? It's kind of in between there. So I can guess it's going to be around, well, what's half 50? About 25. So I'm guessing it's going to be around 24, 23%. You see how that works by estimating? I already have in my mind what number I could possibly divide by. So here we go. Let's read this. We know that all fractions are percents, right? And all fractions are division problems. This is something we always know. This is a true fact that fractions are all percents and they are all division problems. So I'm going to read it from top to bottom. 72 divided by 365. And this, they are congruent. I'm going to erase that so I have some room to work. And now I know that 365 cannot go into 72. Well, I'm figuring out percent. Per means out of and cent means 100. So what do I have to do to 72? I have to cut it up into 100 pieces. How do I do that? Well, we know that the decimal point is the separating mark between whole numbers and partial numbers. And so the first place value is cutting it up into 10 pieces, and the second place value to the right of the decimal point is cutting it up into 100 pieces. Well, now I can go ahead. Well, first I want to make sure I bring my decimal point up so my answer is also separated between the wholes and the parts. So here we go. 365 does not go into 7. 365 does not go into 72. Well, how many times does 365 go into 720? Well, remember our initial when we were estimating, I knew it was almost in between half and nothing. Well, half of 50 is 25. So my first guess, without even needing to estimate these, is I'm just going to multiply this by 2. 365 times 2, 10, 12, 13, 6, 730. Oh boy, I'm a little bit over. But you see how that works? So since I know it's not 2, it was just a bit too high, I know it's going to be 1. So now I can just write 365 because I know 365 times 1 is 365. So now I subtract. And 3. Now this is a big number. Sometimes kids get big numbers and they think they did something wrong. Here's the key. Here's a check. Look at your divisor. As long as the number that's down here is smaller than the divisor, well, you did it correctly, because 365 cannot go into 355. And I knew this was going to be close to 365 because look, it was 2 almost went in completely. So since I only put 1, I knew that I was very close to 2. But since 355 is smaller than 365, I did it correctly. If it was bigger, if this was 366, I would go, oh boy, I know I could have put one more whole of 365 in here. Well, it's not. So let's bring down our 0. And now we can go ahead and we can estimate. Now, since this barely fit in, my guess is it's going to be close to 9. Because since 2 almost worked, this was so close to 2, it's going to be a big number. But if that doesn't resonate with your thinking yet, go ahead and front end estimate. This rounds, if I look at the 3 and the number next to it is 5, I know this rounds to 4,000. I'll write it down here for you so you can visually see it. 4,000 is the front end estimation of 3,550. 365 front end estimated is 400. Well, what I like to do is, because these numbers are so big, I know I can divide or cancel out the hundreds on both, because 100 divided by 100 is 1. So when you multiply something times 1, it doesn't change it. So I'm going to do that before I even start figuring out. Divide by 100, divide by 100. Whatever you do the left side, you got to do the right side. Now look at this. 4 goes into 40 10 times. Or almost 10 times, because I estimated. Remember, it's almost 10 times. Which now I know that I was correct in thinking it's going to be 9. So I'm going to put my 9 here. 9 times 5 is 45. 6 times 9 is 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. 9 times 3 is 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Is 265 less than 365? Yes, it is. So there we have it. We know that the initial problem was what percent is 72 out of a whole school year. And so looking at this decimal, we know if you write this decimal 19 hundredths, if you write it as a percent, it is 19%. So that's what percent the remaining days of school is out of a school year. Now, I know this is long, and I know we go over a lot of stuff, and that's why we started the first day of school with just one thing, and we've been adding ever since. And hopefully you've been following along, and it's making sense, and you're able to make up your own fractions from things around your house, in your own realm. Maybe pick, flowers or whatever you have around your house that you can make fractions out of, parts to a whole, and find percents. It's a fun way of practicing. Anyway, have fun with it today.